Open up the champagne, pop. It's my house, come on, turn it up.
Welcome to Real Estate Today with Cindi and Jody. This is Cindi Richardson, Jody Gatlin, and I'm Jack Fennell of the Richardson Group, here to answer all of your real estate questions on the radio this morning. You can also reach us on our Facebook page, Richardson Group at KW Cleveland, and we are live on there also for the video this morning. If you have any questions, feel free to call us here at the studio, 267-1023. We'd love to hear from you guys this morning. Good morning, Cindi. Good morning, Jody. How are you today?
Hey, good. I love that song. When that song comes on, I was somewhere and that song came on and I perked up. Like I needed to, I got to start talking right now. So it's funny
I literally almost
You've been
wrecked
conditioned.
the other day.
when you hear it, literally, it's like, hold on, where my headset?
It's like,
I got to do something.
It came on while I was driving and literally had a minor panic attack.
Yeah, like, oh, what are we talking about? Hold on. It's funny. It's funny how things change.
Your phone's
literally like, hold on, where's it at? Who's got the camera? What are we doing?
Hey, so Cindi, let's talk about, I know we're doing all things real estate today. How is the market looking? How are home sales?
Well, the numbers are out for July, and let's see. So inventory is up 56%. So we had a total inventory available for sale in the area of 2,664, and that is the same time last year was 1,779. So that's a good thing for buyers. You've got a whole lot more homes to choose from.
Yeah, being up 900 homes over the course of a year is a pretty good inventory market, and that's not a bad thing.
I was going to say, yeah.
Because even though we've increased the inventory 900 homes, our days on market hasn't gone up that much.
No, it's only gone up 4. So this time last year, the average days on the market was 30, and today it's 34.
And you know what that tells me as a buyer, you've actually got a few things to choose from, which is
and maybe
huge
a
positive.
little bit more time just to
actually make your mind
right
up.
because there was a time we were down in very low, single digits on average days on the market. So 34, that's average from the time it goes on the market until it goes under contract. So that's a little bit of time now.
Yeah, to actually shop for a house.
I know, and that's the important thing. I can remember, years ago when you would plan a weekend and you would be showing 20 homes over the course of a weekend. Now you're lucky if you could show 3 before they went under contract over the last couple of years.
On the way there, they're going under contract.
And it's very price range specific too. I think that's the big thing to remember. These numbers are across the board, but once you get into more competitive price ranges where you're seeing those inventory jumps, that's kind of, especially in that 3 to 4 range. I know I've kind of been fortunate. We went out last week. I think we looked at 25 homes over the course of 3 days.
Oh, wow.
And I haven't done that in 3 years.
Yeah.
To be able
ton
to
of
do that.
inventory, like Jack said, in that price range.
The medium home prices for the month of July, so this is only month over month, but the month of July 2024, it was actually up 1.5%. So the average home price is $329,900 versus last year, which was $325,000. So we're not seeing prices slip back or depreciate, but we're not seeing that massive double-digit appreciation that we were seeing.
Yeah, and that's a good thing, too. And we all kind of expected. We didn't expect to see prices to fall. We expected to see them level themselves out and kind of correct over the year. Which and guys, really that 3 to 4% is what we've experienced over the last 15 years before COVID. So now we're getting back to that regular amount of appreciation.
Right. But for the year to date, we are still up more than that, but nowhere near double digits. I think we're hanging around 4.5% year to date.
Well, and that just points to what we always say, guys. I mean, it's up and down, but it's up and down on an upward slope. So still one of the best investments that you can make. We are definitely seeing some changes, but not negative changes.
So we're seeing more homes on the market, taking a little bit longer to sell, and the prices are a little bit more. Now, this number was a little surprising, but the closed sales. So this year, it was 895 homes sold in the month of July. Last year, it was 855. So we did see a 2.4% increase in the number of homes that have sold.
Well, and I think that's maybe indicative of you've got more to choose from. We're actually getting people under contract that maybe couldn't find what it was that they were looking for or needed prior to because of the lack of inventory. So just a guess.
The
But
pending home sales actually went down a little bit. So 912 homes went pending during the month. So normally when your home goes pending, it takes 30 to 45 days for it to close. So it was 912 this year versus 988 last year. So pending sales were down 3.4%. So we may see August numbers soften.
Which isn't a bad thing, and that just means we just had more homes closed that went under contract potentially at the end of June, 1st of July, that actually managed to close in the month of July, which is still a good thing. And you're going to see those soft numbers on the number of pendings to number of closed kind of fluctuate based on whether or not you have to push a closing.
I was going to say, and I don't know if you guys are kind of seeing that, but I am seeing most of my transactions, we are jumping through a few hoops, which is not, that's part of it. But again, I think before, the lack of inventory was forcing buyers into situations where they were waiving inspections and they were, having appraisal gap clauses and things like that. So you weren't really running into a lot of those hoops you had to jump through because they weren't there. This is a much more, I hate to use the word normal in real estate, but a much more expected track. So pushing a closing, like Jack said, isn't always unheard of. So that may be part of the reason too. Things that just didn't close that went under contract.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, Cindy, we're getting ready to roll into an election. We're coming up on November. And we've talked about this before, kind of what we expect to see happen during the course of an election year. And we've tracked this, I know you've tracked this your entire career through several elections.
And it's very normal to see the market slow down about this time and through the election. It is very, very normal because people are just, they're kind of consumed with it and they're a little worried about where the economy's headed. I mean, every single time.
And I do want to point that out, guys. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's up for re-election or election or who wins or who loses. We see the effects of that down the road, but it's always this way in an election year. I think it's just the unknown. People kind of back up and take a deep breath and want to see what happens. So it's very, very, again,
I was going
normal.
back and looking at some of the headlines from 4 years ago, this week, 4 years ago. And the big topic then was refinancing. So they repriced refinancing. So so many people were doing refinancing, not necessarily cash out equities, but refinancing. So they decided to bump refis up 1/8 of a point more than what it was to purchase a home.
Traditional purchase.
So even with all the same criteria, you were going to get a slightly higher interest rate just because you were refinancing. And but
you think about
rates
what was
were also around
I was going to say, you think
3%.
about what was going on then.
Yeah.
You had a lot of people, myself, I had an interest rate over 6%, and then all of a sudden I could get a 2.75. Well, of course I'm going to refinance. So like
and
Cindy
I'm sure
said,
we're going to have a refinance wave coming in the future, even if rates don't get back down to 3. If we see them get back down into the low 5s, you're going to see a lot of people getting rid of those 7% interest rates.
and we've talked about that's not a bad thing, guys. You're better off to buy it at a higher interest rate and refinance it, because you see, even in a what some people would point to as a slowed year, you're still getting that appreciation. So you're better off to buy it cheaper and refinance.
And interest rates right now on your conventional is hanging around 6.5. We did see it drop down to 6.25 over the last week. And your FHA, which runs a little lower than that, is at 6.1. And we saw the FHA actually drop down below 6%. It come down to about 5.75.
Yeah. That's big, guys. And I think we talked about it last week. If you're waiting, you got to pay attention to those. The news is not going to tell you interest rates are good or lower. They're going to tell you when they're high.
I was surprised we didn't see any headlines with that. Very, very little talk about interest rates dropping down to at least a 1-year low.
Yeah, and I think the thing about that one, though, is you're looking at it from a lot of people that I want to wait until rates come down. Well, and that's fine, and that's a good strategy, but there's another side of that coin. If you're going to wait that out for 6 months to a year and a half, what is the price of that home going to do? And do those two things, are they equal?
Right.
Or
Because
is there a price difference between the two?
if you look at, let's just say that your average home price, let's just say 300, let's round it off. And let's say that your average appreciation is 5% per year. So that $300,000 home today is going to be $315,000 in a year from now. So even if you're getting a better interest rate, you're financing more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the payment stays the same.
That's a hard pill to swallow sometimes. But, like we talked about, it's you finally got a few things to choose from. We are seeing people being more open to some concessions and things of that sort. So you really are, I would say in the large majority of cases, you're better off to buy at a lower price with a higher interest rate and refinance the interest rate than vice versa.
Yeah.
So, well, speaking of news, Jack, I can't think of a better segue. What are we hearing? What's the hot topic?
Hot topic, we've got two. The one we're going to talk about first is today is August 17th. The day that real estate changed across the country forever.
The day of reckoning, right?
Until next month sometime or a little bit of time in the future till they kind of work this out again. So there are big changes to the way that buyer representation is going to be handled across the country. Every state is handling it differently. So what we're going to talk about today is how Tennessee is going to handle it, how Georgia, North Carolina, Alabama, South Carolina, Kentucky, anyone else chooses to handle it. I don't know. I'm not licensed in those states, so I don't know how they're going to do it.
And it is a national issue. It's a national rule, and that's important to understand. But the way people react to that issue, the action that they take is
so much
on them.
misinformation out there. I mean, even the media, the national media, I'm amazed at some of the things that are being said that are just not true. So we're going to try to clear some of that up.
Yeah, and we'll spend a whole segment, I think, discussing this. But I do think it's important for us to break it down and for you all to really understand what's being said, what the obligations are. And at the end of the day, I think we kind of looked at each other and thought, that's really how we're doing it. I mean, we feel pretty confident that we were doing things the right way and definitely in an ethical manner and making sure that everybody was informed. So
I think the biggest thing for us, we have always tried to be transparent in everything that we do. And that's kind of where
the issue was and where the solution needs to be.
Some places do not. Some places haven't. Not that they haven't been transparent, but the way it is conveyed, written out, and everything like that is kind of up in the air. But I'll tell you what, before we tackle that, because I want to have some time to run through the whole thing, let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to dive into the changes that are coming forward right now, especially if you are a home buyer, and then a little bit of change on the home seller side. This is Real Estate Today with Cindi and Jody on Talk Radio 102.3.
I've never caught a glimpse of how the others must see the faker. I'm much too fast to take that test. Change it. Turn and face the strange. Changes. Don't wanna be a richer man.
The only station in Chattanooga that has live and local programming from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m.
It's so convenient.
Talk Radio 102.3 FM.
Paid for by government. Did you hear? A secret hoard of 1932 $10 gold Indian coins have been found. These gorgeous 1932 gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck, and less than 500 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling the secret U.S. gold coin discovery a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you can own a piece of the hoard. When you call, you are guaranteed a 1932 dated gold coin featuring Lady Liberty with an Indian war headdress and a majestic eagle. With limited availability, you must call now. These 1932 dated gold coins are still in uncirculated condition with brilliant luster. That is 92 years of history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-386-8018. Call now and you'll receive a free bonus over a $55 value free with every order. Call 1-800-386-8018 now to secure your 1932 $10 gold Indian coins before they sell out. Don't wait. You must act fast. Call now.
A lot of talk when buying a home. Cindi Richardson with the Richardson Group, representing all parts of the Tennessee Valley. Their team is worth their weight in sold. You can skip all the worries and get an immediate cash offer for your home online at rg423.com.
Are you looking to elevate your office space to the next level? Look no further than Office Furniture Works, the Southeast premier contract office dealership. Step into our innovation lab and experience unique work environments designed to inspire collaboration, productivity, and innovation. From collaboration spaces to benching, privacy pods, cubicles, and demountable office walls, we have everything you need to attract, retain, and motivate your staff. On a budget? Ask about our remanufactured and pre-owned furniture options. Good for the environment and the budget. Our strategic workplace planners make the process simple, and we deliver and install everything we sell. Visit us online at ofwllc.com or stop by our innovation lab at 1900 Stewart Street in Chattanooga, 74 Mitchell in Oak Ridge, or call us at 423-790-1376. That's 423-790-1376. Office Furniture Works, transforming your workspace into a place where creativity thrives and success flourishes.
Lawn Pride of East Chattanooga provides expert lawn care for you. Lawn Pride knows you want a beautiful, well-maintained lawn year-round, and they have the expertise to help you grow and maintain a gorgeous lawn. Providing the best service and quality care, our technicians keep your yard healthy and beautiful. Whether it's fertilizer, aeration and overseeding, or weed control, the experts at Lawn Pride keep your yard healthy all summer long. Schedule an appointment by calling 468-5425 or visit lawnpride.com.
Tune in to Top Gun Retirement Hour with Alan Kiefer.
Remember, it's up to you to retire to a brighter future.
Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. right here on 102.3 WGOW FM.
Talk 102.3.
I hear the train a-coming. It's rolling around.
Welcome back to Real Estate Today with Cindi and Jody. And we are talking all things that are changing in the real estate market. And they're not huge, but they do affect certain aspects of buyers and sellers.
The media and the post you hear on social media.
It's on fire where everything's changing. You have to sign your life away and give 3 forms of ID and your firstborn child to see a house.
Let me just say that if somebody's trying to lock you into a long-term agreement, sitting in someone's
with
driveway,
no relationship,
that's a little tough. You are, as a buyer, now required to sign something prior to viewing a home. But it does not necessarily have to be an exclusive buyer representation agreement, which is an agreement that locks you in with that agent for a set period of time, agreeing to a set amount of pay. What you do have to sign is something that it just makes it fully transparent as to how that agent is going to get paid, when that agent is going to get paid, and what that agent is going to get paid. Whether that is an exclusive buyer representation agreement or whether it is a written agreement before touring homes agreement, which is called a non-exclusive agency.
And it's important to know that form gives you as the buyer the option to choose. So like Cindi said, I'm going to make a little PSA here. There is no other profession in the world where people expect you to work for free. Okay? All that this does is outline who's paying who, when you're getting paid, how you're getting paid, all the things that Cindi said. I'm not saying that you shouldn't eventually, hopefully, get some sort of long-term relationship with an agent. But like she said, if I meet you for the very first time, we've spoken on the phone, I meet you for the very first time in the driveway of a home, and I expect you to sign a long-term buyer's representation agreement, I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but I need to earn your trust.
Right.
I need to earn that relationship.
Exactly.
And you, as the consumer, need to be leery of someone that asked you to be in a long-term,
an exclusive buyer representation agreement on someone's hood of their car, just so
the first time you meet them.
Yeah, that's kind of like Married at First Sight. If anybody's ever watched that show, you're going straight into a commitment without getting to know somebody.
Nothing. And I think my fear here is that people, at the end of the day, need us to unlock the door. They need you to get in.
And
you're
so many buyers
to
look at the homes online and they feel like they love it. This is the home for them. They don't care what they have to sign. They just want to get in to see that home. They've already talked to their lender. They know what payments are going to be, and they're going to love that home. And then when they walk in, they realize that it's great marketing. It's not quite the home they thought it was going to be. And now they have signed an exclusive buyer representation agreement for a set period of time with that agent that brought them into that house.
And I think for me, ethically as an agent, I need to meet you. I need to have you sign something so that you understand the process. I need to be able to explain that document to you. And then my hope is that we build a relationship to the point that you feel comfortable choosing me to be your representation.
Well, and we have always said that we didn't ask somebody to sign a buyer representation agreement at our first meeting because we felt like it was more of a getting to know you, and we're going to see if we can work together, because here's the reality. I don't want to work with all buyers. There are some that
not a good fit.
So,
and I'm not going to be able to give you what you need.
Right.
And that is okay. But my fear is that buyers, and I don't mean this negatively, but if you're not educated about the process properly, I'm afraid we're going to see people that sign unknowingly exclusive buyer representation agreements with more than one agent. And as an agent, when I ask you, what have you signed with someone, you need to be able to know what you signed.
The form does say you have not signed with another agent. So you could be obligating yourself to pay more than one agent if you're not careful in what you do. So please read and understand what you're signing before you sign anything.
And be leery of someone that gives you one option and one option only and is not able to explain to you what you're signing.
And now let's back up for just a second. What brought these changes around? That we're making these changes to the buyers.
Right, because that's a lot of the headlines too.
And
to us as agents, this is the big difference.
Yeah.
Getting a buyer representation agreement or non-exclusive representation agreement signed prior to touring any homes. That's the huge difference. To the public, and what you're hearing on the news is that sellers do not have to pay a buyer's agent. But the reality is, what your commissions have always been negotiable, but now we're going to be more transparent about it, and we're going to talk about, if you're offering a buyer's agent commission, what the advantages and disadvantages are, and what number you want to offer, if any.
You brought up a good point that I actually have written down in my notes. I think it's all about understanding. It's about transparency. But I do think it's important to point out that there has never been anything that a seller signs that says that they have to offer compensation to a buyer's agent. And I think, maybe that was part of the problem, that it was just assumed and not explained. But you can still choose to do that as a seller, and we'll get into the seller side and what that looks like. But it goes back to, it all boils down to transparency. And at the end of the day, people weren't adequately explaining what it was and how it worked and who was paying who and how they were getting paid.
Yeah, and part of that is who's paying, how they're getting paid, and what they're going to do, what the role is. Because depending on what you sign in this, there are different roles that agent can take on. But I think the big thing is it has always been a negotiable, but it's always kind of been offered on the listing side through the MLSs as a way to look at the buyer terms. Hey, look, if you work with me, I charge X. If a seller offers X, I'm willing to take that in lieu of the original negotiated price. It is then the buyer has the ability, it is wrapped in the loan that they are doing inside of the purchase price. So therefore, it's not an out-of-pocket expense to the buyer when they go to the closing table. That's the biggest thing that has been as part pulling out of the proceeds from the sale, that the seller pays their agent with, the other agent pays the other broker.
And without getting too in the weeds, understand that there still can be a discrepancy between those, what you agreed and what a seller's offering and all those things. And I'm just going to keep pointing it back to, it's so important to have representation. Buyer representation was created, what year?
It was in the 90s.
In the 90s. So if you think about that, we created buyer representation because there was a need for that.
Correct. At that point, that's when the government stepped in then and said that buyers needed representation. At that time, everybody worked for the seller. So when you had a listing and you put it into the system and you were sharing the information with all the other agents, everybody worked for the seller. Nobody worked for the buyer. So at that point, they kind of backed up and said, hey, hold on. Somebody needs to be representing the best interest for the buyer. So now I feel like we're kind of backing up a little bit. And to me, I'm all about creating transparency, but the way that some of this is happening, way it's happening.
It's as clear as mud. Yes.
I'm a very black and white person, and I read through all these documents, and I'm like, this is not transparent, and it's not throwing it out there where a buyer can make an informed decision. It's very confusing.
And I do think it's like anything else. It's going to take some time, and it's going to take some things happening and experience for this maybe to get revised and work a little better. But I think we need to go into why it is important to have representation and why it's important to work with a realtor here regardless.
But before we do that, let's back up and talk about sellers again. Mm-hmm. So sellers, the way it's worked in the past is when you went out and you listed a home, you listed it for X percent, whatever you and your agent talked about and agreed to. And then out of that percent, the listing agent would then, you would agree on amount that would be offered to a buyer's agent. So you kind of have to think of that as like a marketing fee. So if you want all the agents out there showing your home, you would want to offer some type of compensation incentive so that they would show your home. So that has not changed. A seller can still offer a buyer agent commission. What it cannot do is be placed in the MLS system. So that to me is where it's not transparent, because up until today, it was listed in the MLS system and it's syndicated out to the internet, and any buyer could look and see what their agent would be making. Now it's gone. So you have no idea how much that compensation, what that seller is willing to pay. You just have to make an offer. Mm-hmm. So whatever you and your buyer's agent agree on, you need to either pay out of pocket that amount, or negotiate that into the contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing too, is everything is negotiable, but it has gotten very, very muddy.
Yes.
Over the last couple of weeks.
And again, I'm curious to see how and before you take us out, I do think I'm going to leave you with a sentence here, and I want Cindi to answer it when we come back. Because the number one thing I'm hearing is on the news media is this is going to save us money and make prices come down.
Yes, it's going to
We'll address that in a minute.
Guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back on Real Estate Day with Cindi Jody, we're going to talk more about the changes that are coming in the real estate market.
Whether you're a student, teacher, or parent, we could all use a little extra cash at the beginning of the school year. That's why we're giving 5 winners $1,000 to spend on any of your back-to-school needs. Head to our website now to enter this national contest for your chance to win the back-to-school shopping spree.
Register to win now at WGOW.com.
Tennessee American Water reminds you to use water wisely in your yard. It's estimated that up to 50% of the water we use outdoors in the summer is not needed to maintain a healthy landscape. This summer, keep conservation in mind by watching when you water. Listen to your local weather forecast on The Talk Monster to plan your watering schedule and avoid overwatering your yard. Visit TennesseeAMWater.com to learn more wise water tips.
Do you want the highest possible offer for the sale of your home? Do you want to move into your dream home but still need to sell your current home? You got to stop all the drama, folks, and you got to call my great friend Cindi Richardson with the Richardson Group, online at rg423.com. Are you ready to move into your dream home, but you still need to sell your current home? It can be a really hectic process. It doesn't have to be. If you contact Cindi Richardson of the Richardson Group, an immediate cash offer for your home, skip the showing, the repairs, go straight to sold. This team is definitely worth its weight in sold. That's one word you hear all the time from people who go to 790-7979. That's the phone number, 423-790-7979, or go online online, rg423.com. Cindi Jody, you can hear them here every Saturday at 9 o'clock. Yes, skip the showings, repairs. Call 423-790-7979 or go to rg423.com. Start packing. Home selling can be like watching a really long play that never seems to end. I promise you, this play will just be one act, and that's sold. 790-7979. Go online, rg423.com.
Lawn Pride of East Chattanooga provides expert lawn care for you. Lawn Pride knows you want a beautiful, well-maintained lawn year-round, and they have the expertise to help you grow and maintain a gorgeous lawn. Providing the best service and quality care, our technicians keep your yard healthy and beautiful. Whether it's fertilizer, aeration and overseeding, or weed control, the experts at Lawn Pride keep your yard healthy all summer long. Schedule an appointment by calling 468-5425 or visit lawnpride.com.
There's a lot more cost to home ownership than what you see at the closing table. You gotta contact Cindi Richardson and the Richardson Group. A lot of talk when buying a home, but have you heard of those mystery expenses, closing costs, home inspections? No one better in the home buying industry than my great friend Cindi Richardson, representing all parts of the Tennessee Valley. Cindi Jody, you can hear him here every Saturday at 9 o'clock. Give him a call at 790-7979 or go online at rg423.com.
I'm Barbara Corcoran. In Chattanooga, the agent I trust is Cindi Richardson. Cindi can give you an instant offer in 24 hours, a customized marketing plan, and a full team of experts. Get the option that's right for you. Go to rg423.com.
Questions you need to ask when hiring a realtor. How many homes have you helped clients buy or sell in the past 12 months? Can I speak to some of your previous clients? What's your availability like? Successful realtors are busy, but it's still ideal to work with an agent who has time to answer your questions. So, JR, I ask you this question. Who would you call looking for the greatest realtor around?
That's a silly question because there's only one answer.
Say it for me.
Cindi Richardson.
Cindi
That's
Richardson
who I call.
and the Richardson Group. A lot of talk when buying a home. Cindi Richardson with the Richardson Group, representing all parts of the Tennessee Valley. Their team is worth their weight in sold. Call 790-7979 or go online, rg423.com. You can skip all the worries and get an immediate cash offer for your home. There is no one better. The Richardson Group and their team. You can hear them every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock right here on 102.3, rg423.com.
Talk 102.3.
Welcome back to Real Estate Today with Cindi and Jody. We're talking more about the changes that are coming up for buyer's representation in the state of Tennessee and some of the changes on the listings. I know, Jody, you asked a very interesting question before we went to our last break. What was that?
I got 3 phone calls yesterday from people that had heard that these changes were going to save them money and that it's going to make prices come down. I'll throw it to you, Cindi Richardson. What's your take?
Maybe, but not likely. Because here's the thing. If a buyer is paying their buyer's agent out of pocket and not asking for any, then it could save the seller some money. It's not going to change the price of the home. The seller's not going to give that additional amount off the price of the home.
You just keep it. You just keep the money that I was going to make.
If they're not paying a buyer's agent marketing of any type, and a buyer is paying their own buyer's agent, then most likely that seller's not going to just give that money up. It's going, they're going to want that money. So not everybody's going to save money. So it just depends on who.
And it's important to understand that you can, feel free to kick me here, but I feel like it's important to understand that when it comes time to negotiate and to make an offer, you can negotiate for the seller to pay the buyer's agent commission anyway. Yeah. So, it's just clarifying it's clarifying the fact that a buyer's agent is going to receive compensation. Yeah. And if it doesn't come from a seller, who's it going to come from? How is it going to come? All of those good things. But it does not stop someone from asking the seller to cover the buyer's agent commission.
Right.
So to think that it's going to drastically save people money, I struggle with the fact that this is probably based on a small group of people that were not doing things clearly and ethically, and maybe the process was confusing. And when I say we've always done things the right way, yes, we weren't using, this new form, so to speak, but it's always been a very clear conversation that we have with our sellers and our buyers. I think what it does is protect buyers agents so that they are receiving compensation, which you deserve. There is not another profession where we just say, come work and you might get paid, But
Right. And you can't expect buyers agents to work for free.
Yeah.
And this is, most people that are working with buyers are working nights, weekends, holidays. They're doing everything
using their own gas, using their own transportation.
Correct. So to expect a buyer's agent to work for nothing is just ridiculous.
And with no clear definition of their compensation.
And what you're paying for. Now, do I think that different agents deserve different compensations? Yes, I absolutely do. I'm just going to throw it out there. Yeah, I do. Because I think that experience is key here. And if you have 3 different agents with 3 different levels of experience going through a contract, that experience is going to benefit you. So, and if I walk into a house, I've been doing this for, I don't even want to say how long, but if I walk in a house, I'm going to see things, and things are going to throw up a red flag with me that an agent that's been doing it for, a short term is not even going to notice. It's not even going to be on their radar.
Or when things do get hairy, and you have to negotiate through a contract and all those sort of things. At the end of the day, this is all pretty clear, but it's super, super muddy the way it's been presented. On the flip side of that, I'm also going to ask, if this is the case and I'm a buyer, should I just call the listing agent?
Well, at that point, you have no representation, and a listing agent works in the best interest of the seller. So they are getting paid to make sure that the seller gets the best possible deal they can. So that's up to you.
I mean, it's up to you. Could you?
You're not saving any money.
And it goes back to when you have a signed listing agreement with X amount of commission, it's not saving anybody money.
Right.
I mean, you're the seller agreed to pay X amount of commission irregardless of who you call. Now, yes, if you choose to hire a buyer's agent, which we absolutely recommend. The whole reason this is an issue is because you need representation. So, yes, you should. Can you call the listing agent directly? Absolutely. I'm going to do things ethically irregardless of whom I represent.
Right. Well, and you're right, because that listing agent still does have duties that are owed to all parties. But you are working in the best interest of the seller.
Sure. So can you do it? Yes. Would we recommend it? No. Are you going to save bukudos of money and, get the difference off the price of the home? No, probably not. So, again, not much has changed. Just the way that we execute it has changed a little bit.
Transparency. And I mean, again, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. And there's a reason why it was created in the first place. It's like you weren't receiving representation, but now we're just going to make that representation a little more confusing. At the end of the day, that's really what's happening. So, and again, why is it important? Why do you need to work with a realtor? We've talked about it. I mean, you need somebody really to serve as your guide. I can't tell you how many times I talk to someone, and this is not a negative on anybody, and I hear us say and do things that a buyer or a seller says, nobody else has ever told me that. Nobody else has ever told me that. So I think now more than ever, it's important to interview who you're working with and to truly understand what it is that you're signing.
As an agent, a buyer's agent, my job is not to make decisions for you. It's not to, my job is to educate you. So if you love a home, it's my job to educate you on what that home is worth, probably do a market analysis for you so that you can see exactly what homes around it are bringing, so that you know exactly what fair market value for that home would be. My job is also to educate you on lenders, What are you looking for in a lender? Are there other programs out there that might be better for you? Maybe, maybe not, but I'm going to point you at least in the right direction so that you can find out for yourself.
And I think in general, be leery of people that give you one option. You know, my job's not to pick your home inspector. I'm absolutely not going to do that. My job's to give you a list of people and let you interview people and choose them. My job is not to hand you a piece of paper with no end date and say, guess what, we're married. And if you want out, we got a really expensive divorce coming. You know, that's not my job. My job's to give you all the information and hopefully earn your trust and your business so that then you choose me and you want to compensate me for the work that I do because it's valuable. So I think be leery of anybody that gives you one choice, whether that's what you're looking for, what the pricing is, what you should offer, who you should call for help, what you should sign. My job is not to make decisions for you. Like Cindi said, my job is to educate you, give you all the information so that you can make an educated decision. And I think that's most important.
Right. And that's what buying a home, I mean, is scary in itself because, I mean, it's a very big financial decision. It's a very long commitment. I mean, a 30-year mortgage, that's something that's apparently only done in the United States, but it's something that is, I mean, that's a huge
biggest commitment for most people, yeah.
So you want to be very careful and make sure that you're making the right decisions for you and your family.
So I did, like I said, I fielded a few calls, mainly yesterday, but over the last couple days, because people are seeing this on the news and they don't understand how that affects them. So if you currently have your home listed, Cindi, what do you have to do? Do you have to sign something else? Do we have to do anything?
No,
what do
I mean,
we do?
You have an agreement in place. You don't have to do anything.
Now, if you choose to change that agreement, if you choose to change the way that the commission is offered, what is offered to whom, then you do need to sign an amendment to change that. But if you're happy with the way things are, and if it was explained to you on the front end, nothing changes except the fact that we can't publicize that cooperating agent compensation. We can't publicize how much someone's getting paid on the MLS or on any site that syndicates to the MLS, correct?
Right.
But if you're happy with the way that you agreed to it on the front end,
right, what you and your buyer's agent have agreed to, then it
listing agent, as a
buyer's agent,
yes, as a buyer,
if you have agreed to compensate your buyer's agent a said amount, then it really doesn't matter what the seller's offering. You're going to compensate your buyer, your buyer's agent, whatever you agreed to.
Yes, absolutely. And you can, all of that is negotiable. It has always been negotiable. It just falls now on how and when that needs to be explained. Not really when. You should have always explained it on the front end, but is what it is. I think we have a caller.
Yeah. David's on the line. David, thanks for calling in to talk with us this morning.
Hey, David.
Yeah, hey, morning. Yeah, as I talking financial advisors, I'm just wondering, ratings. Is it the Secretary of State that gives a business license to a financial advisor?
Ooh, financial advisor.
I don't know. I mean, we're realtors. I'm not sure about. I don't know how they're licensed.
Probably with the state commission, it would be my guess.
I would check anybody that's licensed in the state of Tennessee is on tn.gov. You can verify any licensed professional in any field in the state of Tennessee.
And David, if you just type into your search browser, if you type in verify license TN, it will take you straight to the website where you can pick all the different professions and see who is licensed and how long they've been licensed.
Yeah. So again,
right. Yeah. Well, the reason I bring it up, I noticed that, there are a lot of people that are refusing to acknowledge that climate change is real. And so they're putting the region at risk, because they are allowing people who are unqualified to get a business license. And then they go out there and cheat the public. So I'm wondering, like the Secretary of State, if the Secretary of State doesn't believe in climate change and they give a business license to, a pack of whether it's realtors or financial advisors, they're putting the economics of the region at risk.
Mm-hmm. I wish I had a clear answer for you, David. I don't. I would say probably the state is the first place to check. And then as far as realtors, we fall under a brokerage. So, I myself don't have a business license. I'm an independent contractor who is licensed with the state. And my assumption would be that financial advisors fall under that as well.
Sure.
It's clear as mud.
Right.
Wish we could help more. Thanks for calling, David.
Hey, thanks again.
Yes. Okay, so, go for it, Jack. Sorry, I'm going to start talking and we got to go pay some bills.
We'll be right back on Real Estate Today with Cindi and Jody on Talk Radio 102.3.
Get informed and give your opinion. Talk Radio 102.3.
You've gotten your finances ready to buy a home, but are you ready to own a home? There's a lot more cost to home ownership than what you see at the closing table. That's why you got to contact the nicest person in the realty business, Cindi Richardson and the Richardson Group. Skip all the worries and get an immediate cash offer for your home. The Cindi Richardson Group, representing all parts of the Tennessee Valley. Their team is worth their weight in sold. Cindi Jody, you can hear them here every Saturday at 9 o'clock. Go online, RG423.